Good morning, Bucknutters. It's Tuesday, August 26, 2014, Game Week, Navy Week, here on the Bucknuts Morning 5. I'm Dan Rubin. Have the Buckeyes follow the ultimate blueprint for success by putting JT Barrett at quarterback? It's certainly possible. We'll discuss that. Very interesting decision by the staff. We'll also talk about JT Barrett will not meet with the media before getting his first start for the Buckeyes. And we'll also get an update on the recruiting class. There have been some misses lately that have concerned some, but if you take a global look at the class, I think we're still on track here. Plus, we'll take a look at what we have coming up here on the site today on the Bucknuts Morning 5. The last two seasons on the college football landscape has produced two mega stars, Johnny Manziel and Jameis Winston, redshirt freshmen that have gone on to win the Heisman Trophy in their first year as a starter. Ohio State is set up now with JT Barrett with a highly regarded dual-threat quarterback stepping into the fray as a redshirt freshman with a team that has national title aspirations. Can someone tell me how this is different from Jameis Winston or Johnny Manziel? I don't see it as being that different. The overcorrection negatively to Ohio State's outlook for the season. Kirk Herbstreit picked Ohio State to win the national championship and Braxton Miller to win the Heisman. And then obviously Braxton's not going to win the Heisman, but now picks Michigan State to represent on the Final Four instead of Ohio State out of the Big Ten. I don't get it. I don't see why the downgrade is everyone's autocorrection given the history we've seen. So I went and took a look back. When JT Barrett was coming out, he was the number 3 ranked dual-threat quarterback in the country. Little trivia for your friends. Guess who was number 1? Jalen Marshall. Number 2 is Asante Woolard at South Florida. If you go look at the rankings, none of the guys on that list have made a huge impression so far. Anu Solomon down the list has just been named the starter at Arizona. So JT Barrett's on track. It's not like he's behind the class. JT was a 93.48 composite ranking. Jameis Winston was a 99.1. Johnny Foosball was an 87.4. JT's got the pedigree. He's got the big school upbringing. He's got a year in the system. He was the hand-picked guy. Now, is JT Barrett going to win the Heisman Trophy? I wouldn't bet my kids' tuition on it. By the same token, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's impossible. We just went over the blueprint. It's proven. So it wouldn't even be outlandish. I think what we're dealing with is a little bit of the Braxton Miller hangover from the injury, and everyone knows how high I was on Braxton. That's not the issue here. But I think some of the national people have overcorrected negative. I think we just have to sit back, relax, and realize that JT Barrett is as prepared for this as any other redshirt freshman that's stepped into a huge role on a team like this. And we've seen the last 2 years, it can be a marriage made in heaven. Those of you who paid attention to the entire Urban Meyer presser from yesterday, his only meeting with the media this week heading into the Navy game, hopefully you stuck around for the entire video on Bucknuts for that matter. We got a new camera, got new video quality we're proud of. But anyway, Steve Hellwagon got in the last question and asked if the media was going to get a chance to talk to JT Barrett before he gets the start at Navy, and the answer was no. I do think it's an interesting decision from the staff. I understand why they're doing it. I don't agree with it. One of the things I think people are going to be very impressed with is JT Barrett is very comfortable in front of the camera. We used to have him on the radio routinely in front row radio. We used to listen to Dave Biddle interview JT. He's as mature a kid for his age as you're ever going to find, a military family. So I thought that might assuage the fears of those around him. But you can definitely tell from Dave Biddle's story yesterday on what the team thinks of him. And I would implore everyone to go watch the video with Nick Vanette. There's a true confidence from the team in JT Barrett. I don't get the sense that their goals have changed at all. I would have liked to see him meet with the media. Urban's got his reasons for doing what he's doing. We'll see how it works out. Sensing a little bit of angst on the recruiting front here when Van Jefferson committed to Georgia over Ohio State. I think the recruiting class is going to turn out to be spectacular. If you're having any fears about the recruiting class, I would go check out the recent content we've had up there, and I would point you to Bill Kurlick and Steve Wiltfong's recent work, which addresses the Virginia Tech home game. The guest list for the Virginia Tech home game reads like an all-star team for the NFL in about 6 or 7 years. It is impressive. There's a very good chance Ohio State is still going to end up with guys like Lawrence Cager in the class, the big receiver to take the top off the defense, Damian Harris, a star running back, Torrance Gibson, Lord knows where he'll end up on the field, but you know it'll be impressive. As for Van Jefferson, and you can ask Alex Gleitman this, we haven't always agreed on this, but when Alex and I would talk behind the scenes and he said Georgia was getting in the mix, once I realized Tracy Rocker was on the staff at Georgia and was friends with Sean Jefferson from the Titans staff, I thought we were fighting an uphill battle there. You can imagine how comforting it must be for the Jefferson family to not just send him off to a program like Georgia, which has produced some fine athletes, but get a person who's a friend of the family to keep an eye on him. You can't really blame him there. That said, I still think this class will turn out with an incredible group of people, and we're looking to the Virginia Tech game to be a big factor in the finish. That's our show for today, people. Keep it locked to the site all day. Got a Power Pack boarding house coming up for you in a couple hours. Make sure you get on over to the front row and talk season opener with all your Bucknuts brethren. Have a great one, people.